And we're back for another episode of St James's Pod. This one is a look ahead to Southampton away. I'm joined again by Pete Ward, Alex Dawson and Thomas Page. How you doing, boys?
Chatting, pal.
Waxer.
We'll do some bit of club news before we get started on the Southampton game. So the big thing I wanted to touch on was that we had a derby through the week. The under-21s played Sunderland at St James's Park. Don't know if any of you saw that. It ended 1-1. But there was a bit of grief outside the handball equaliser right at the end.
I thought they won the fucking Champions League, no?
The ground, weren't they?
Kids being kids.
We can't talk about that.
Aye.
I think.
Yeah, was it there?
I think that was fucking escalated by all the fucking social media kids and all that. They were saying rioting and all that. There was no fucking rioting. Like it was just kids being kids, chasing each other on that one. Absolutely nothing happened. It's pathetic.
I didn't see one punch being thrown on videos.
It's a bit embarrassing, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say I've seen a few videos and it didn't look anything out the usual.
It's however, really, wasn't it?
After the Everton stuff that went off after the game, I do think we should be holding the away fans back to let the home fans kind of channel up. But
usually, because
hopefully that's something they'll look at.
The buses park basically right outside where the away turnstiles are. So there's always a sort of police, what you call it, barricade, to separate the home fans coming out the Milburn to the away fans. But I think because there was 300 kids from Sunderland at the match, I don't think it was that much expected. Yeah, it was about 300. I think they were annoyed because they only let them have 300. But it was obviously just kids that got the metro. But you know what I mean? Exactly. So I don't think there was that much police presence purely because it was just fucking out. It was just kids, But, it is what it is. Rivalries and all that.
What, you're scrolling on there, Pete?
Just some typical holiday sweets, mate. Got a mouthful, like a horse.
I'm sure the audio listeners will appreciate that.
Oh shit, is it?
We're recording the podcast there, Pete.
It's out, man. All natural and all that.
I'm glad you know natural.
So, other club news. Sean Longstaff turned 25 this week. Which...
Happy birthday, Sean.
Happy birthday, Sean. I don't know about you, but...
Can we even hear this?
He's actually still quite young, isn't he?
Hey, yeah.
We talk about Bruno being young and he's... Well, I don't know. I think just because he's been in the team for a while, when you see him turn 25, you think, oh, he is actually still quite young. He should be hitting his prime soon, but... All right. The ladies' team grabbed the win over... Barnsley.
Any of us agree with you on that one, Oh, fucking hell.
And we are currently sat in fourth position on 24 points. So, obviously, last game we beat Villa 4-0 at home. If you want to check out our review of that game, the link can be found on the main page. But let's jump into the next game, which is Southampton away. So, last time out, Southampton played Crystal Palace. At Palace, I believe. And they lost 1-0. I don't know if any of you managed to catch that game or seen the highlights.
No. I haven't seen the highlights, but I know that from what I've read about it, that they were pretty unfortunate that Palace were hanging on towards the end of that one. So, and Palace is always a difficult away game anyway. But I think they could maybe count themselves a bit unlucky not to get anything out of that one.
Yeah, I watched the highlights the other day, and to be honest, there wasn't many. Didn't look like a great game, but Southampton did have quite a few chances. And one player that seemed to keep popping up getting chances was Che Adams. He had one really good opportunity that, well, he kind of crafted it for himself. I think it was outside the box shot. He curled it, and I think he hit the post. That looked like a lovely bit of play, but he then just kept springing up in good positions, and he couldn't. Well, to be fair to Palace's keeper, he had a good game. But yeah, I'd say you're probably right in that they probably deserved the draw out of that game. But like most of the season, they're struggling to score goals, aren't they, Southampton?
Yeah, Southampton, they were quite a weird one for me. Like, they'll look terrible some days, then they'll turn up and beat Chelsea, and
Yeah.
yeah, they're a quite a strange one. They've I rate a lot of the players they've got as well. They just can't seem to get any momentum going this season. Like, they haven't had the annual 9-0 yet, so hey, maybe that's coming on Saturday.
So let's pick up on a few of them players then, Dawes. The one that stands out, probably the most obvious one, is James Ward-Prowse. Still at Southampton. He was heavily linked away in the summer. Are you surprised to see him still there?
I am, to be honest. I think he could do a job for teams, with no disrespect, higher up than Southampton. I think he's like a fantastic player. I think he's just behind Beckham and direct free kicks in the Premier League all the time or something like that. He's and he just
Specialist.
He just helps. Yeah, he's a dead ball specialist. And he just runs the game. Like, genuinely, I could see him, like, I'd say like Liverpool could do with a player like him right now. Like, he works hard. He can do it at both ends of the field. He can tackle. He can make the passes. I really rate him as a player, and I think he's still like fairly young. He's still got I think his best years ahead of him.
How old is he?
Not 25, is he?
He's not 25. Not that young. He's 28.
28.
28. You get a wee shift for saying Longstaff's young. Fucking hell.
James Ward-Prowse, he's got years ahead of him. I would take him at Newcastle if we get him for the right price, but I think he's got quite a long contract at Southampton, so you think it would take more money than we're willing to be prepared to pay for him.
I do think for his own England chances, he's got to move on. Like, to be right, I know he's stuff, but I think he's got to be at a bigger club, playing better football, more competitive football, to have more of a run in the England team. Like, I do believe.
Yeah, I think he's probably really harmed his World Cup chances with staying at Southampton. It'd be interesting to know actually, like, the reason behind why he stayed, whether nobody came in from, or whether he actually just wanted to stay there. Which, if it was to be loyal to Southampton, then like big respect to him for that. But I do think it's probably hurt his. It's kind of like a player staying with us, like in the past. It does hurt your England chances, doesn't it?
Yeah, it shouldn't, but it does.
Is there any?
Yeah, it's how it is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing, and whether that ever changes, probably not, but definitely not while Southgate's the manager. Other players, like I said, Che Adams. When I watched the highlights, he's going to be their main goal threat. One thing I noticed was that he was getting a lot of opportunities without a lot of service. Or that's what I kind of thought from the highlights anyway. How do you rate him as a player, Tom?
Yeah, I think he's definitely progressing as he's going on in his career. I think he burst onto the scene at Birmingham relatively young, and then he's ended up at Southampton now, and I think he's fully establishing himself in that forward line. Although, like we said, it is a bit of they've got weak options in my opinion up front. They've seemed to chop and change quite a bit, but I think Che Adams is one who is sticking around and is kind of taking that mantle left by Danny Ings. And he's, in fairness to him, he's doing well. I know he's one who can play kind of off the wing or through the centre. I think he's starting to be a bit more fruitful, sort of playing through the middle. I know, looking at the formation that they were lining up with against Palace in the last game, he was part of a front two alongside Aribo, and playing in a 3-5-2. So maybe that might be part of the reason that I think they may struggle a little bit in terms of creativity from out wide. I don't particularly rate the wing backs who started that game. El-Yunusi has been in and out of the league. He went out on loan to Celtic, and last season I think it was. He's back here, and I
don't score against us last season.
El-Yunusi.
He scored at St James's, didn't he?
I think you could be
I
right
thought
there.
He was on loan at Celtic.
It rings a bell to me.
It just rings a bell that he scored against us.
Unless he started the season at them and then left at the end of the summer. I think he was. I'm sure he was on loan at Celtic.
Someone get the stats up.
At some point he was on loan at Celtic. Maybe not last season, maybe the season before. Anyhow, I don't particularly rate him in that sort of position. I don't know a great deal about the lad who started left wing back Perraud. Maybe that's where their weaknesses are in terms of that creating more chances for Adams. Is that they just don't have those established guys being able to play to him that way. They've still got some good names in the central midfield. I do like Stuart Armstrong. I know he scored against Arsenal recently.
He looks a canny player,
he looks like he can break through, be a bit of a box-to-box kind of guy, a bit of a workhorse. I think that Diallo's quite a young lad that they've got sort of playing in the centre of it all. It's quite a young team, really, Southampton, generally speaking. They've picked up quite a lot of young players in the summer from Man City. I think they probably have one of the youngest average ages in the Premier League. So obviously you can see why it's maybe not clicking straight away for them, and that's why their form's been inconsistent. But they've definitely got talent there. They just need to sort of nail that first team down, and I think they should be all right come the end of the season.
Is Adam Armstrong still there?
Yeah, he just doesn't get his game, does he?
Yeah.
But I'm saying he doesn't get his game. He has little cameos every now and then, but was it not like 25 million he went for, something like that?
Yeah, it was quite a fee.
It was quite a bit of money because he was obviously shit hot in the Championship, but I think it's sort of proven.
You think that's his level?
League player. Yeah,
he's a bit of a Dwight Gale, do you think?
Yeah. I think, again, I don't know if they've got his position quite right at Southampton either. I've seen him playing out on the wing and seen him playing through the middle. I think, despite his height, I think he is probably better through the middle, but you need to have other people around him to, give him that support and play to his strengths, which is, he's quite nippy and plays off the last man, which I don't think Southampton have really helped them too often in playing to those strengths that he obviously had at his days at Blackburn. So it's a shame because I think I think we let him go a little bit too early. To be honest, I think he was one of those ones that Rafa let go. Obviously, like Tony as well, they've proven to be better players after they've left. But I think they still had. I think Armstrong still maybe had a year or two left in him before he went to try and get his opportunity in the team.
I think the issue with those is if they stayed at Newcastle, they probably wouldn't have got the coaching that they needed to progress and be Ivan Toney especially, to be the player he is now. Pete, do you want to just update us on the Sunderland score?
Nah, not really, mate. They've just scored there, beating Huddersfield. I mean, Christ, Huddersfield are down the bottom, but I've heard that Sunderland have been playing quite bad, but they've just scored again, haven't they? So, shite.
Is that why you're drinking out of that mug, though?
Huddersfield Town. My dad's born and bred in Huddersfield. He's got a season ticket there, so there's an ample opportunity to bring out the mug playing at home for Sunderland tonight. But unfortunately, it's not a lucky charm. or might be the fact that Huddersfield are bottom of the league and doing absolutely bollocks this season. One of the two.
Nah, it's all your fault, man. So the Southampton's recent form, obviously, they got beat by Palace, as we said, but before that, their home form, they've drawn against Arsenal and drawn against West Ham. And in between those two games, they went away to Bournemouth and got a win. So the recent form is not actually that bad, but it seems to be the goals they're really struggling to get. It does worry me slightly that Arsenal only managed to score once against them. Did you want to have a look back at our head-to-heads in previous years, Dawes?
As I thought, LUFC had scored at St James last season, and then it was obviously the 96th minute or something penalty by Ward-Prowse, which won them for it. I think it was St Maximan who scored late on for us. Then they got a penalty with seconds left on the clock and scored it. But also, it was the away fixture last season was Bruno's first goal when he had his back heel goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that was against Southampton.
Quality goal, that
so we have had some joy there in recent times. We won 1-0 a couple of years ago with San Maximan getting the goal as well. So, and this is before we've got all these players in and they've all been working together. So I think we can go down there with a lot more confidence this year, that we're going to definitely show them how much better we are than them.
And Maxi could be back in contention for a start as well, so he could carry on that scoring form.
I'm dreading an old Park the Bus by Southampton night, to be honest. I think that's nigh on a given, to be honest.
We're top 4 team now. You've got to expect it when teams that they're going to play a bit more conservatively.
It's that just above the relegation zone. I know it's early in the season, obviously, but they will not want. They obviously don't want to lose at home. They won't want to. We've been battering teams recently, so fucking 4-1s, 5-0s, 5-1s, 4-0s, 4-1s, and all that. So they will not want to concede. So I'm expecting a full-on Park the Bus, mate.
They're also getting potentially Lavia back, who's fantastic for them at the start of the season. The young lad that they got from City. Apparently he's in contention to be back in the squad. So he was Ariel Ramírez's replacement, and he's looking really good. For obviously, I think Southampton bought 4 players off City in the summer, and he's one of them who's really proven his worth.
Stand out.
I'm sure there's a couple of young. Well, he's one of the young ones. He's 18 years old, but I'm sure they got a couple in from City in the summer.
They poached City's head of academy to be in their setup, and I think along with that, he's kind of recommended these 4 young players: Lavia, Bazuna, Adozi, and that was another one of the other lads.
Dorsey.
A Daisy. No, maybe I've pronounced it wrong. But yeah, they've obviously the guy that brought in the head of the academy was obviously seen these guys play week in, week out at the youth level and thought that they were capable of stepping up into the Premier League, and obviously a big show of confidence from Hasselhouten to give them that opportunity so young. Lavia's not even turned 20 yet, I don't think. So yeah, he has played really well. So I would be a bit concerned that he will come back and be playing well again. But I think we should hopefully keep a clean sheet against them. It's just more, can we break them down? I think it's going to be the real issue.
Well, I'll go over our recent form then. I'm sure we're all well aware, but it's just such good reading. I might as well read it out.
Win.
4-0 win, Villa. 2-1 against Spurs. 1-0 win against Everton. 0-0 against Man United away. 5-1 win, Brentford. 4-1 win, Fulham. So, Man U away is the only game we failed to score in the last 6. We managed to break Everton down. You'd argue they had a similar tactics to what you'd imagine Southampton might have.
Mm.
And then Villa. I'd say Villa. Probably, I mean, I know we were at home for that game, but they tried to stop us and we scored 4. But I am less confident for some reason. I think it's because it's away from home, probably. I'm less confident going into this one. But I'll just read you some of the stats about Southampton. So, in terms of scoring goals, they're 16th in the league. Expected goals, 17th. They're 16th for possession. That's versus our 8th in the league for possession. They've got 20 goals against, which is 14th in the league. They're 17th goals for, with only 11 scored. And that leaves them 17th for goal difference. So, based on the stats and the form and stuff, you'd kind of think we should be confident going into this game, but I don't know. Is anyone mega confident? Anyone think we're going to turn them over, or
not as confident as I would be against if it's a team that I know are going to, as much as we take the game for the likes of like Liverpool, City, Tottenham, we took the game to them. I don't think they're going to do that with us at all. As I just said before, I think we're going to be going at them. They're obviously going to play on the back foot, try and get on the counter attack, but I can't see. I don't even think it's going to be a high scoring game, unfortunately, because I think that it's just going to be a case of them parking the bus, playing for a point.
And that's the thing; they haven't scored more than a goal since August.
Nah.
So I can't see them keeping us out for the full games. So I can't see us coming away from there without a point at least. I think we'll control the game. I think we'll just dictate play. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I'm wondering is if it's going to come into plays with the cup game coming up a couple of days later. Is that going to affect the team sheet, do you think, at all? Or do you think Eddie Howe just looks at one game at a time so he doesn't really look ahead to potential starting lineups for cup games and stuff?
I think we mentioned it in a previous podcast about what we might do with certain players for this Palace game in the cup, especially the goalkeeping situation and whether or not Karius comes in and for that one and Pope gets rested. I'd like to think that Eddie just takes it game by game, and he's not thinking too much about that. And also that he might consider playing a few of the first team players in that midweek game against Palace, because it's a realistic opportunity of us going quite far in that competition. So I think there will be some rotation, but hopefully not, a completely different 11. I think we should still keep an eye on playing some of the first teamers in that game. It'll be a big shout to see whether or not Maxi starts the Southampton game. If he doesn't start the Southampton game, he definitely starts the Palace game. And I would say likewise for Shelvey as well. But that if he doesn't start against Southampton, he definitely does against Palace.
Anderson will be close to getting a shout, as well. I was expecting him to start the Palace game, to be honest. I know we're not obviously talking about that in a minute, but it's either going to be, because I think he had a little knock, didn't he? Again, it was at the Tottenham game. He had a little knock, so he didn't even make the bench.
Yeah.
But I believe he was on the bench on Saturday, so he'll be close. But I don't think it'll change much. Obviously, Joe Linton's out. I think it's going to be Willock, Bruno, and Longstaff in the middle.
Well, I guess the question is who comes in on the left. So
this is it, isn't it?
You've mentioned Anderson there. He can play there. Maxi's coming back. He obviously can play there. And then your boy Murphy came on and had a great 20 minutes or whatever in the last game. So do we just slot one of those in there? And if so, which one?
Yeah, I'd like maybe Maxi to go in just for the recent form against Southampton. He's been great, and but I think we're going to need somebody of his trickiness and ability to get past a stubborn defence to be in from the start against Southampton. But it just depends, because I don't want. There's no point playing him if he's not 100%. Because there are capable players that can come in.
I wouldn't risk him, mate. I really wouldn't risk him. Like if he's not 100% ready, there's no point in just chucking him in. When we've got people like Murphy, even Fraser, who could just jump in.
I don't think Eddie will do that. Eddie doesn't do that, does he? Just exactly for the sake of it.
The amount of time Max's came back then had a relapse of his muscle injuries. It's Eddie's not going to risk it at all.
No. Plus, every single time he gets tackled, he rolls on the floor for 5 minutes, gets up and limps, and then sprints down the wing for fucking.
That's because he uses that as an excuse for when he's lost the ball, and it's so fucking frustrating.
It is like. Let's not get on to slating him,
He only gave him about 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the last game. So I'd imagine
not long.
He'll be used as a sub probably a bit longer in this game. So
yeah,
I think for me, he starts Murphy.
Yeah.
And then probably 60, 70 minutes, Maxi comes on, depending on how the game's going.
But you play it an hour, and then Maxi comes on against the tired legs. You'd be absolutely shooting yourself. There's nothing you'd want worse as a defender, have him running at you after an hour.
See, the thing is, though, what I've noticed with Maxi is I could be completely wrong here, but I don't think he changes the game as much when he comes on as a sub.
I thought you were going to say it's Murphy there or someone.
No. As he comes on as a sub, obviously when he starts and goes at them, he's fucking mint. But when he comes on as a sub, I don't know. I haven't noticed him change a game like you think he would with his skill and his pace. You'd think he'd just fucking run through them. But
yeah,
I don't think he's. I mean, obviously he'd make a difference, but just as a sort of his perspective purely on his game, I think he's a lot better starting than he is an impact sub.
It'll be interesting this time to see, actually, because this is the first time really that his position's been threatened. Because Joe Linton's been playing well out there, Murphy's been doing well out there, and Eddie Howe's not the sort of manager that just puts people back in based on the name and the previous like he keeps the team in form. So he's gonna actually have to like work to get back in there. He's gonna have to show something when he comes on. So he might have a different attitude when he comes on as a sub now. Be interesting to see.
Is like fighting for his place.
Yeah.
But like, if you think about it,
do we
he is
expect
the only
any
like natural left winger. Like,
yeah.
if you think about
I know
all the
Fraser
players that play
says
on the
that's
left,
his preferred position, but he's
he's a
for me he's
right
better on the
footer
right,
left
actually,
wing.
Fraser.
Yeah, I think the same.
Do we expect any other changes to the start lineup?
Nah, it's not a lot you can change. It's not a lot you can change with our bench, to be fair.
Yeah, I think we'll.
Shelby, what would you say about Shelby? Nah, he hasn't had long enough, has he? He's only had 10 minutes. 10 minutes last game, 10 minutes game before. He hasn't had long enough.
Also, there's no reason to bench any of them.
Well, yeah, very true, very true.
Not one bit.
Yeah, very true.
I think we'll go full strength on Saturday. Then, if he wants to make changes midweek, that's when he'll do them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Palace is the one, isn't it, for like making your little tweaks to see how things go and all that.
Wanna hear you go.
Let's move on to our predictions for the score then. What do you think is going to be the result of this game, and what do you think is going to be the score?
Once again, our defence is best in the league. I can't say we're conceding. If we do, the odd one goal maybe. But I'm putting it down for a tight game because they'll be hard to break down. So I think we'll win maybe 1-0. Pete?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring game at all. I think if they do score, it's going to be for a James Ward-Prowse free kick. Unfortunately, penalty free kick. It's going to be a set piece, but we've got the mighty Nick Pope in net, so I'll go for a 2-0. 2-0 win.
I'll follow Dorse on his prediction. I'm going to go 1-0 to 2. I think, like you said, it's going to be tough. They're going to really, really pack it out and make it difficult for us to get in behind. So, yeah, going to go for a sneaky 1-0.
Sneaky one. Well, I'm going to back us to break them down with an early goal. Maybe from another like set piece or something that we've worked on. And then we'll end up bagging another 2 because they'll crumble. So I'm going to go 3-0. And I started off this record thinking it was going to be a tough game. And I'm ending it saying we're going to spank them 3-0. So
now we're going to battle them.
Well, that's what happens when you talk about Eddie's mags. So, guys, thanks for joining us today. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. You can follow us on social media at stjamespod. And join us for the next episode where we will be previewing the cup game against Crystal Palace. See you then.
Wanna hear you go.